very beautiful, but no one dares to look at her. Because as long as you make eye contact with her, you will be petrified. At that moment, your body will easily crumble like rocks in soil. And the one who gives women the power of terror is none other than Medusa. At this moment, Chin Wilderness in the office is discussing with Yuan Gang about taking a break. Yuan Gang refused without hesitation. After all, this closed training has a history of decades, and there has never been a precedent for taking a break to go home for the Chinese New Year. But Chen Wilderness's attitude is very firm, stating that even if there is no holiday break, Lin Seven-Night must be granted leave separately to accompany him home for the Chinese New Year's Eve dinner. Yuan Gang casually mentioned that it's not possible as it goes against the rules. Chen Wilderness got angry after hearing Yuan Gang's casual remark. It doesn't matter if you release them or not, but I'll tell you that 2 teammates from our squad are currently lurking outside the training camp. If you don't agree, they might start abducting people. Yuan Gang was shocked to hear this. He never thought that Chen Wilderness would be capable of doing such a thing. So he asked in confusion, "What does Chen Wilderness want to do exactly? Aren't your 136 squad always very low-key?" Chen Wilderness frowned and explained, "Recently, Songnan City has been unstable with members of the ancient gods cult mixing in." Upon hearing this, Yuan Gang was shocked. How dare the ancient gods cult? But he quickly recovered from his astonishment. They must be planning to target Lin Seven-Night. They are underestimating things. As long as I am here at this training camp, no newcomer will be harmed. Chen Wilderness looked at him seriously and said, "You are the deputy team leader stationed in Shangjing City, a strong warrior. With you here, safety is assured. But can you guarantee there are no traitors among the instructors?" His voice just fell. Just a loud bang. The next moment, the table in front of Yuan Gang turned into pieces with a loud bang. By your account, are we now facing threats on all sides, with troubles within and external pressure? If even our training camp cannot withstand the ancient gods cult, why do you think your 136 squad can protect Lin Seven-Night comprehensively? Because we only have 6 people in total, and we absolutely understand and trust each other, we have no internal troubles. As for external threats, our 136 squad has never been afraid. Upon hearing this, Yuan Gang fell silent. Being selected as the deputy squad leader in charge of the Shangjing City team and serving as the chief instructor, he is certainly not a fool, as Chen Wilderness mentioned. He truly could not guarantee that all the instructors at the training camp were reliable. Therefore, he asked Chen Wilderness what to do next. Chen Wilderness responded plainly, "It's simple. Give everyone a break. Disband and disappear into the crowd." Yuan Gang immediately gathered all the new soldiers through the broadcast and announced the vacation time. The physical training for the first half of the year has been completed. From today until the second day of the Lunar New Year, there will be a total of 4 days off. After returning, the training for the second half of the year will begin, focusing on the forbidden ruins and weapon tactics. Thaddy was so happy that he danced with joy upon hearing this. "That's great. Seven-Night, did you hear that? The god of holiday I pray to every day is truly efficacious. Hurry up and pack your things. I'll take you to Guangshan for a good time." As soon as Fatty finished speaking, Yuan Gang said, "There is a requirement for this holiday. Nobody is allowed to leave Songnan. Anyone found violating this rule will be immediately disqualified from becoming a night watcher." Upon hearing this, Fatty almost fainted. Lin Seven-Night mentioned that he didn't have a place to stay in Songnan, so he might have to rely on Fatty himself. The training camp quickly arranged a bus. As soon as everyone left the training camp, they felt relaxed all over, and their spirits were rejuvenated. It felt as if some kind of shackles were broken. A cool sensation flowed from the brain to the whole body, cleansing every inch of the skin. Everyone's stage was elevated at this moment. Yuan Gang lightly said, "Do you think we use that precious forbidden item just to suppress your forbidden ruins? It's not that simple. While your forbidden ruins were being suppressed, mental power flow was also restricted. That forbidden item has suppressed you for half a year. Now, suddenly released, the mental power that has been suppressed for so long will rebound violently, easily breaking through the shackles of the stage and entering a new stage. When queuing to board the bus, several stellar blades were placed on the ground for everyone to take one. Remember, during the holiday, the knife must not leave your side, but under no circumstances should it be used unless absolutely necessary. Lin Seven-Night opened the knife and found that there were no engravings on it. Prove that this is a standard issue knife temporarily borrowed. Combine all the things that happened today. He always felt that this holiday was not simple. At this moment, hundreds of kilometers away from the training camp, inside Missile Launch Base 039, a woman led 2 sheep here. Upon seeing this, guards immediately aimed their guns at her and asked why she was here. The woman explained that she had accidentally lost her way while grazing her sheep. Upon hearing this, the 2 guards put down their weapons and informed others to stand down. Later, they vividly described the way for the woman to leave. The woman then flattered, saying, "Do you think I'm beautiful?" With that, she suddenly raised her head, her eyes filled with a deep green color. And the guard facing him gradually turned to stone. By the time he realized it, he found that his companion behind him had already turned into a stone statue. He tried to raise the alarm, but his body turned to stone, making it impossible for him to move an inch. In the end, he ended up smashing himself into a stone block. At this moment, the woman took off her headscarf, revealing her true face. This lack of charm truly makes him a tasteless man. The man simply had a thought in his mind. He then controlled all the missile fragments. And the ability he used comes from the core power of the strongest Greek goddess of the night. Abyssal deity ruins. Just a few minutes ago, inside the bus, all the new soldiers were chatting and laughing, discussing how they were going to enjoy their break. Only Lin Seven-Night remained silent and worried. Seeing this, Chow Abyss asked him what was wrong, and why he wasn't happy even though everyone was on vacation. Lin Seven-Night replied with a hint of thoughtfulness, feeling that there might be some issues with this vacation. "Oh well, hopefully it's just me overthinking." After hearing Lin Seven-Night's nonsensical words, Chow Abyss was left bewildered. Is there a problem? What's not right? At this moment, an alarm went off in the underground base of the training camp. There are fast-moving objects approaching the base, as well as vehicles carrying the new recruits. Yuan Gang, with a look of surprise on his face, couldn't believe it was such a coincidence. Immediately lock on and shoot down the approaching objects. After a series of maneuvers, the female instructor looked embarrassed when the moving object turned out to be our own weapon and the interception system couldn't lock onto it. Upon realizing that it was our own weapon, Yuan Gang was dumbfounded. He couldn't come up with a strategy for how to respond next. At this moment, 5 missiles are approaching the training camp. 3 of the missiles are targeting the training camp, while the remaining 2 are aimed at the highway where the bus carrying new recruits is traveling. The new recruits were also drawn to the side of these missiles, but due to the distance, they found it challenging to see clearly what was flying towards them. By the time they could make out the missiles, they were already close to the bus. They had no time to escape or counterattack. Suddenly, a long spear flew out. The long spear accurately intercepted the missile in midair. But due to the close proximity, the impact from the explosion still affected the bus. At this moment, except for Lin Seven-Night, all the new recruits inside the vehicle lost gravity and fell to one side. Lin Seven-Night realized that he must quickly control all these missile fragments, otherwise, given their quantity and speed, the people present might not survive for long. The next second, a touch of extreme darkness erupted around him, enveloping the bus and quickly forming a hemisphere. And countless shrapnel flew towards the darkness, but every one of them paused in midair upon contact. At this moment, Lin Seven-Night in the car held the railing with one hand and controlled Abyssal Deity Ruins with the other. His body was sweating profusely, trembling uncontrollably. If he hadn't just advanced to the pawn stage, he wouldn't have been able to hold on. Soon, he couldn't hold on any longer, losing consciousness like the others and falling to one side. After a brief pause, the bus also continued to be impacted. Upon closer inspection, it can be observed that while the exterior of the bus is heavily damaged, not a single fragment has penetrated into the interior. At this moment, a thin golden film covers half of the training camp, protecting the lives of all instructors and logistics personnel inside. At this time, the female instructor hurriedly caught up with the news from the side of the new recruit, Yuan Gang. A member of the 136th Squad promptly arrived. He skillfully destroyed the missile with a spear, and then a black light flashed by. All missile fragments were intercepted, protecting the lives of all new recruits. Upon hearing about the black light, Yuan Gang nodded in agreement, indicating that it was most likely the work of Lin Seven-Night. Then, he changed the topic and said, "Just as the new recruits left the training camp, missiles were already launched at us. Indeed, there is a traitor among us." With that, he took a sudden step forward, shattering the entire ground. The next moment, rings of light revolved around him towards all directions, immediately reporting and checking the origin of those marked as our side's missiles. At this moment, at missile base number 39, blood splattered everywhere, with sporadic cries for help heard. However, all the soldiers were petrified on the spot. And the one who took action was the divine being, Medusa's agent Snake Lady. At this moment, a male voice came from the side, saying, "The agent of the divine used the deity ruins missile, but it did not cause any deaths among the Night Watcher new recruits. Let's proceed to the next step." Snake Lady looked at the photo of Lin Seven-Night and said, "He seems like an interesting boy. We will meet soon." As she spoke, her face flushed with a sickly excitement. The next day, Lin Seven-Night also woke up from a coma. He looked around the room and felt a sense of familiarity with the decor. Suddenly, Wu Southern Xiong popped up, startling him. "Seven-Night, you're finally awake," he said. Red Tassel slapped Wu Southern Xiong on the back of the head. "Look at how scared you've got, Seven-Night," Little South asked calmly. "Are you feeling better now, Seven-Night?" Lin Seven-Night looked a bit bewildered. "My body is fine now, but how did I end up here?" This is a beautiful fatty. He, who had just taken a bath, was even attacked by the ancient god's cult. They even bombed a hotel floor in order to steal him. Just now, Lin Seven-Night woke up a little confused after staying at Red Tassel's house. Chen Wilderness explained that Seven-Night, you probably exhausted too much mental power in the deity ruins in a short period, which caused you to faint. Red Tassel and Inkwisher happened to arrive and brought you back directly. When Inkwisher chuckled and added reassuringly, "Don't worry, the new recruits are all fine. Your instructor Hong even told me to report your credit of intercepting the missile fragments. You might even receive a medal directly." Lin Seven-Night slowly stood up with Red Tassel's support and asked, "I didn't expect Instructor Han to guess that it was me. But why were we attacked by a missile? And who would want to attack us?" Chen Wilderness calmly explained, "You are wrong. The target of the attack was not the ancient god's cult as a whole, but only you and that chubby boy." Upon hearing about the ancient god's cult and Lin Seven-Night, King Face's warning immediately came to mind. Although he knew that being a seraphim and an agent of the goddess of the night would attract the attention of the ancient god's cult, he had not expected them to be so crazy. On the other side, Yuan Gang was also reviewing the report of the recent attack. The female instructor beside him reported that it had been confirmed that the ancient god's cult had attacked the number 39 missile launch base, and the missile was launched from there. According to the intelligence, their target this time was Lin Seven-Night and Bailey Daylight. Yuan Gang had an expression that confirmed his suspicions when he heard this. Their target is indeed the first double god agent in history, and the sole heir of the Bailey clan. However, I really didn't expect the missile launch base to fall without any warning. Based on the large amount of broken stone statues at the scene and a snake I painted with blood, it should be the work of Medusa agent Snake Lady from the ancient god's cult. At that moment, Instructor Hong Immense walked in and asked, "Leader, should we halt the vacation and protect Lin Seven-Night and Bailey Daylight?" Yuan Gang flatly refused him, saying, "Not only can we not stop the vacation, but we also need to appear defenseless to the outside. After all, it's not the fear of theft, but the fear of being targeted by thieves. Remember, we can't protect them for a lifetime." Excitedly, the female instructor asked, "Chief Yuan Gang, are you planning to lure out the ancient gods cult using them as bait, in order to resolve the issue once and for all?" Of course, Chief Yuan Gang's idea is not a sudden decision. The reason he agreed to Chin Wilderness's proposal for a vacation at that time was to use Lin Seven-Night and Fatty to eliminate the rats hiding in Songnan. But Chin Wilderness is opposed to this suggestion because he thinks it is too dangerous to use Lin Seven-Night as bait. If something unexpected happens, the consequences would be unimaginable. Yuan Gang replied lightly, "People always have to grow. Captain Chen, you cannot always protect Lin Seven-Night. One day, he will have to leave here and become a strong independent person. Giving him too much protection now may not necessarily be a good thing." Chen Wilderness remained silent upon hearing this. He indeed agreed with what Yuan Gang had said in his heart. That night, to celebrate Seven-Night's return home, Team 136 gathered together, drank, and chatted joyfully. After a fierce battle, Lin Seven-Night was the only one left standing except for Chin Wilderness. He then said to Chin Wilderness, "Captain, I want to go check on my two friends. After all, as the host of Songnan, it's not good to just leave people aside like this." But Chin Wilderness told him that it is a critical time, and it is best not to leave Red Tassel's house unless necessary. Upon hearing this, Lin Seven-Night sneered and said, "Captain, I am actually quite capable of fighting now." Chin Wilderness breathed a sigh of relief and said, "I don't know if you can fight, but you have indeed become more confident." He then handed Lin Seven-Night a room key card and a stellar blade. "Your chubby friend is staying in a 5-star hotel indoors. He asked me to tell you that the room number is 9039. At the same time, Fatty in the hotel is joyfully taking a bath. After he finishes his bath, he will be refreshed and have a radiant complexion. But when he walked into the living room, he was taken aback and angrily shouted at Chow Abyss, "How the hell did you get here? Didn't I get you a single room in the neighboring motel?" Chow Abyss said indifferently, "Staying in a single room is not as comfortable as the presidential suite. It's okay, just pretend I don't exist. Carry on with what you need to do, I won't bother you." Fatty walked up angrily, wanting to drive Chow Abyss away. "Go away, you are disrupting my enjoyment of life here. Tonight, I want to enjoy my personal space alone. No living thing can appear." Chow Abyss disdainfully pointed to the side. "Then, how would you explain this mouse? Nonsense. How could a 5-star hotel possibly have mice?" Then Fatty followed the direction and indeed saw a small mouse. But the mouse looked strange somehow. At this moment, Lin Seven-Night has already arrived at the hotel where Fatty is staying, just as he was communicating with the staff. Suddenly, there was an explosion on the top floor of the hotel. Lin Seven-Night suddenly felt that something was not right. Had they started again? Two big men were just glanced at by a mouse. They were scared so much that they jumped off a 100-meter-tall building, just because the mouse emitted a scent that did not belong to a normal creature. After the two people jumped off the building, there was indeed a huge explosion in their room. At this time, Fatty, even in midair, did not forget to angrily rebuke Chow Abyss. "Do you know how many people in this city want to take my life now? When others get off the car, they all hide like they're avoiding the plague. Why are you shamelessly coming to me? Aren't you afraid of death, Chow Abyss?" To this, Chow Abyss just casually said he's not afraid. Fatty was stunned when he heard this. He's truly a madman. After saying that, he took out the jade light. "Fortunately, I was prepared early, otherwise you would be waiting to die with me." The next moment, Jade Light erected a protective shield on the ground, smoothly catching the two people. Chow Abyss was very puzzled at the sight. "You just finished taking a shower and already have forbidden items on your body." Fatty looked pleased at the words. "Of course, all of them are with me. They are all in my pocket dimension." Chow Abyss's gaze scanned back and forth over Fatty's key positions like a scanner. "There is something in the location of your pocket dimension, Fatty," he said. Fatty blushed and quickly tightened his clothes at the words. Just then, another explosion came from the top floor of the hotel. Fatty exclaimed, "These people ambushing me really went to great lengths. It's fortunate that we have the instructor to keep them in check." Chow Abyss asked, "Are they all coming for you? Has the life of the young master from the Bailey family always been this exciting?" Upon hearing this, Fatty replied cheerfully, "I've encountered plenty of assassination attempts since I was young, but I'm still alive and well. My bodyguards will arrive tomorrow. Let's see who dares to touch me then." Chow Abyss pointed around and said, "Don't you think it's too quiet around here? I think you should focus on making it through tonight first." Unexpectedly, two uninvited guests emerged from the darkness. "Hello there, young master of the Bailey family and this bodyguard." Fatty frowned and asked, "There are only two of you here. There should be three, right? There's one more person guarding the no-restriction airspace outside." Fatty asked with a smile, "When did Night Watcher start working as an assassin too?" The thin assassin's expression changed suddenly. "We stopped being Night Watcher when we left Fasting Hall." Upon hearing it was Fasting Hall, Fatty looked puzzled. Chow Abyss, however, calmly explained, "Fasting Hall detains prisoners who possess the Forbidden Ruins, half of whom are former Night Watcher members who have committed offenses and been expelled." Fatty was greatly surprised at these words. "Are you so familiar with it? Could it be that you also came out from there?" Chow Abyss explained, "If it weren't for the former commander of the Night Watcher saving me and sending me to Jilhua Mountain back then, I would indeed have been detained there now." Fatty understood upon hearing this, and then angrily scolded the two people in front of him. "So, you both came out from the police station. No wonder you were assigned to assassinate me. But even if you want to kill me, why bomb the hotel? What about the others who might get hurt? Those who once vowed to protect this country, are you now disregarding the lives of the people for the sake of profit?" The man with red hair instantly flew into a rage upon hearing this. "You are slandering us. We didn't bomb the hotel. Don't lump us together with that group of wild dogs. Even if you say so, we used to be part of the Night Watcher, and we still have the most basic bottom line. Killing you is not for profit. It's simply to repay a debt." At this moment, the skinny guy stopped the redhead from speaking further. "Enough, old Guan. You've said too much. The boss is waiting for us. We're running out of time. Let's send them on their way quickly." "Okay, Captain." With a low growl from the redhead man, he instantly burst through his clothes, looking just like a wild beast. The scene before their eyes scared Fatty and the other person, causing them to break out in a cold sweat. It turns out that sequence 214's Forbidden Ruins flesh reconstruction can control one's muscle tissues, erupting with terrifying speed and power in an instant. This is very shocking. In the blink of an eye, the red-haired man had already rushed in front of the two individuals. At the same time, Lin Seven-Night was moving against the crowd. The signboard ahead caught his attention, revealing it to be a no-restriction airspace. But he recognized at a glance that this was not the signboard of Team 136, but the signboard used to activate the no-restriction airspace, which only the Night Watcher team stationed in various cities possessed. In other words, Night Watchers from another city were involved in this matter. Lin Seven-Night suddenly had many doubts in his mind. If they were here to protect Fatty, why did they appear at this particular time? And why did they secretly activate the no-restriction airspace? It is only possible that they are here to kill Fatty. At this moment, Lin Seven-Night recalled the scene when old Zhao came to his house looking for him. At that time, he rejected old Zhao's invitation because his principle is to run as far as possible from danger and the unknown. At that time, old Zhao also said that Lin Seven-Night lacked the spirit of youth, and he mentioned that one day he would understand. When there is something you must protect, no matter how dangerous or unknown it may be ahead, you must go forward. At this moment, Lin Seven-Night couldn't help but imagine old Zhao by his side, persuading Are you really sure you want to enter this no-restriction airspace? You don't even know how many people are inside, let alone if there are high-stage strong individuals. At this moment, Lin Seven-Night muttered to himself, I am sure I want to go in because my friends are inside, the people I want to protect. It wasn't until this moment that he fully understood the meaning of old Zhao's words. The fat guy's first move against the enemy turned out to be reaching into his crotch. Because his crotch was a treasure trove. He not only can summon big treasures to attack the enemy, but he can also produce a protective shield to resist attacks. The red-haired man did not get angry when he saw his attack blocked. He just jokingly said, The necklace is a good thing. It's a pity that the user is not good. He said that as he punched, his speed increased rapidly, continuously smashing towards the protective shield. In the blink of an eye, cracks appeared on the protective shield. Seeing that it couldn't hold on much longer, Fatty quickly sought help from Chao Abyss. At this moment, Chao Abyss was holding the hilt of his sword, engaged in a battle with a thin man ahead, and had no time to rescue Fatty. The thin man also seized the opportunity to control 3 knives and attack Chao Abyss. On the other side, Fatty's protective shield was also broken by the red-haired man barehanded. But Fatty reacted quickly, and was not hit. The red-haired man looked incredulous. You can still dodge my attacks? Fatty laughed at the words. Do you really think I can only use forbidden items? I didn't train my physical fitness for nothing these past 6 months. But before Fatty could feel satisfied, the next second, the red-haired man's fist smashed into his face. He instantly smashed Fatty into the wall according to the smoke has no wound law. Sure enough, when the smoke cleared, only to see Fatty being enveloped in a golden light unharmed. The arm the red-haired man used for attacking was injured, but his expression became even more excited. Your necklace is quite versatile, equipped with high-temperature automatic defense as well. Fatty stabilized his figure, and then started digging into his crotch. Still with a lecherous look on his face, he said, Just you wait. It seems I have to use my big treasure to give you a taste. Next, a beam of golden light shot straight into the sky from his crotch. This sudden burst of golden light startled Fatty himself, causing him to jump. He muttered, Damn, I forgot to turn it off after the last use. Almost got cut. And while the red-haired man was dumbfounded by this golden light, 7 golden beams split the sky. At the same time, they attacked the red-haired man from different directions. He hit the red-haired man with just one blow, causing smoke to emanate from his body. Before he could catch his breath, he suddenly felt a gust of wind on his back. The next moment, a huge rock behind him split apart from being smashed. He turned around to look, shock evident in his eyes. What is this thing? Chao Abyss was covered in black mist, holding a knife as he approached, cackling incessantly. And behind Chao Abyss was the captain, who was skilled in the use of the 3-sword style. The skinny captain weakly looked at Chao Abyss and swallowed hard. He is not human at all. He is a devil. Suddenly, an arrow shot straight towards Chao Abyss's face. Chao Abyss deftly blocked the arrow with a swing of his long knife. But the next moment, he was sent flying by the huge impact force of the arrow, falling into the building behind him. The archer, a woman, silently watched from a high-rise building hundreds of meters away. She coldly snorted, Anyone who dares to intercept my arrow is seeking death. With that, she drew another arrow, prepared her aim, and released. This time, she unexpectedly shot 2 arrows in quick succession. The first arrow was dodged by Chao Abyss in a flash. But he couldn't dodge the second arrow in time. Suddenly, his whole body was filled with an ominous aura. He suddenly slashed the arrow into 2 pieces with a single stroke. The woman in the distance was a bit stunned to see the scene. This is too fierce. Forget it. Let's focus on attacking the main target first. At this moment, Lin Seven-Night finally arrived. He smiled and asked the woman behind, Who is the main target you mentioned? Men own abyssal deity ruins can control everything in the area. But if the opponent's mental power is higher than theirs, he will suffer a great backlash. It seems that one must be careful when using it on others. The eyes of the female archer are filled with disbelief. As an archer, being extremely vigilant of the surrounding environment is a required course. This young man can quietly approach without making a sound. Lin Seven-Night lightly flicked his fingers. The feathered arrow floated in the air, and was pinched by his 2 fingers. How many people did you come with in total? The female archer frowned, asking, How was the arrow stopped? She immediately raised her bow at the enemy and asked, How did you infiltrate Old Han's no-restriction airspace? I'm the one asking you first now. If you are referring to the old man in the Mediterranean, unfortunately, I have already taken care of him. The archer woman seemed unprepared for the enemy's speed. Seven-Night flashed behind her in an instant. The sense of danger made her pull out a short blade from her sleeve. She thrust straight towards Lin Seven-Night's face. This move was also expected by Lin Seven-Night. The two of them grappled with each other. The female archer spoke up. I know, you are the unprecedented dual god agent dual god. How did you know? Are there people like you in the training camp? Do you think I would tell you? The next moment, a touch of darkness swiftly occupied the eyes of the female archer. Lin Seven-Night's eyes narrowed slightly. It seems you are unwilling to answer my question. A touch of coldness appeared in his eyes. Since that's the case, then you can be my experiment. The screams echoed in the night sky as the 3-knife man and the burly man engaged in battle turned to look in the direction of the female archer. Fatty also looked confused. Isn't it just me and Chow Abyss inside the no-restriction airspace? The ominous aura's flame struck the 2 enemies once again at this moment. The female archer's eyes have completely turned black. What have you done to me, Lin Seven-Night? Lin Seven-Night looked at the female archer's pitiful state, and abyssal corruption has a very poor effect on intelligent beings. The higher the intelligence, the more difficult it is to erode. Based on my current stage, I can only control cats and dogs at most for now. The female archer also realized this at this moment. This should be the power of the agent of the divine. But the sense of mission for the task. It made her pick up the dagger and stab her own thigh. The surging mental power burst out suddenly, and the darkness in the eyes receded like the tide. Lin Seven-Night grunted, mental power broke free from abyssal corruption. The higher the opponent's stage, the stronger the backlash. She should also have mental power at the pawn stage. If her level is higher than the pawn stage, this attack could potentially knock me unconscious. The female archer escapes from the trap. She immediately bends her bow and shoots 3 arrows in a row. However, it has no effect on Lin Seven-Night under abyssal corruption. A crisp buzzing sound. The blade flashed. Blood splattered everywhere. At the same time, on another tall building hundreds of meters away, a faint smile appeared on Ling Xian's lips. Not bad, kid. With a thud, the burly man shattered the asphalt ground with one stomp. Fatty is inside the well-guarded jade light defensive formation. He kept howling non-stop. The rough appearance of the 5 elements is really getting on the big man's nerves. Fatty heard a series of explosions coming from a distance. His eyes gradually lit up, and he turned around, saying, Chow Abyss, hold on a little longer. Reinforcements are on the way. He then saw Chow Abyss, who was smiling as he dismembered the 3-blade man with a knife. Everyone, how about subscribing? Scroll of Sealing is something that can temporarily seal the abilities of a person, or a forbidden item Forbidden Ruins, and today it surprisingly got a new name. Chow Abyss Chastity Belt. Fatty watches Chow Abyss more. He feels more and more like a perverted murderer. Who the hell is the antagonist? The burly man angrily shouted. Useless things! Fatty asked in confusion. Isn't he your captain? Why are you disrespecting him like this? Less nonsense. The burly man's attack became more fierce. In this life and death struggle, the jade light shield was unexpectedly shattered by his brute force. Fatty's eyes were icy cold. It seems that he can only use this now. Look at the invincible great mirror of this young master. The brawny man's brain felt like it had been ruthlessly hammered. It's a mental attack. He didn't have time to think any further. Fatty's precious sword in hand had already fallen down. The dense sword shadows directly engulfed him. Fatty revealed an invincible lonely expression. The small pond stage is laughable, laughable. As soon as he finished speaking, a figure, ghost-like, appeared behind him. Didn't the instructor teach you to always be careful of your back? Fatty only felt a chill at the back of his head and silently thought, I'm done for. He was about to hurriedly dodge when suddenly a muffled groan came from behind. A figure with a straight knife in hand grabbed the burly man and retorted, Did the instructor not teach you to always be careful of your back? Fatty, upon seeing the newcomer, exclaimed in delight, Seven-Night, you're here! Then his drool and snot came together as he hugged Lin Seven-Night's thigh and said, Hey, 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 it's so dirty, let go quickly. Feeling the ominous aura, Lin Seven-Night slowly turned his head back under the pressure. The situation is not over yet. This is the real trouble. Lin Seven-Night did not look back, eyes unblinking as he closely watched Crazy Demon, Chow Abyss, and Fatty. Naturally, he was asking for the scroll of sealing from him. As his hand touched the scroll, a strange smell emanated from it. In addition, Fatty suggested that they should call this item Chow Abyss Chastity Belt from now on. Lin Seven-Night suddenly had a physical reaction. Where did you just take it out from? At this moment, Crazy Demon Chow Abyss has lifted a straight knife and is attacking. After advancing to the pond stage, his forbidden ruin seems to have become stronger and more vicious. A touch of darkness spreads out from the center of Lin Seven-Night. He wants to control his sword abyssal deity ruins. The primal darkness envelopes Crazy Demon Chow Abyss. Who would have thought that after a brief stalemate, Crazy Demon Chow Abyss would easily suppress Lin Seven-Night and instantly gain the upper hand? Lin Seven-Night frowned. This ominous aura is too outrageous. It can even isolate and resist the erosion of deity ruins. He was just thinking at that moment. He was also struck and sent flying by a single knife. Fatty, who was hiding behind the trash can, said that he felt something was off about his current condition. Lin Seven-Night once again brandished his sword. Without the suppression of the forbidden item training camp, this is the true power of the Black King. Since he cannot control the ominous aura inside, he will control what is outside. The asphalt ground instantly forms a stone wall, trapping Crazy Demon in the abyss. Suddenly, a brilliant light shines through the gaps in the stones. Crazy Demon Chow Abyss lets out a thunderous roar, causing the stone wall to shatter and explode inch by inch. He just managed to break free. He has already lost sight of Lin Seven-Night. He felt it. He felt the other person right behind him. He swung his knife fiercely in an instant and turned his head. I didn't expect Lin Seven-Night to be so close to him. Lin Seven-Night's eyes gleamed with a golden light shining from his pupils. Seraphim Divine Authority is indeed the nemesis of Crazy Demon Chow Abyss. Just one glance from him caused most of the ominous aura on his body to be dispersed. Lin Seven-Night did not hesitate and unfolded the Chow Abyss chastity belt in his hand. He quickly locked it around his body. Then he flashed behind it and exerted force with his right hand. Go, Lin Seven-Night relied on his strong physique under the cover of the night. He directly punched Crazy Demon Chow Abyss, sending him flying into a nearby low building. Sure, continue on. He is swagger douche and azure bamboo. Even if he is short of money, he still takes care of his brothers and friends. He is always ready to stand up for justice when faced with the scum of society. Today Lin Seven-Night is going to discuss a business deal with him. Within the short building, thick smoke billowed as Fatty peeked out his little head. Is this the end? After a while, Chow Abyss, who had regained his composure, struggled to climb out of the ruins. He slowly removed the adhesive tape from his neck with his hands. Seven-Night, can you go easy on me next time? Lin Seven-Night sheathed the knife expressionlessly. You weren't gentle when you just slashed me. At this point, The no-restriction airspace has been cracked. The burning top floor of the hotel still shows no traces of extinguishment. They looked up and saw the instructors still in battle. The enemies they were fighting against should be Flowing Stage, Chow Abyss, and Fatty. They sighed with relief, glad they could jump quickly. Lin Seven-Night turned and walked towards the other side of the street. The type of enemies we are facing is not something we can deal with. Rather than standing here foolishly and increasing the risk of exposure, it's better to go have a bowl of noodles. She entered and found a very remote noodle shop, not only far from the main road but also with a dilapidated signboard. Fatty looked around and said, "Is this the kind of place people come to for noodles?" Lin Seven-Night rolled her eyes and said, "Given our current situation, can we afford to eat at a hotel? We can only enjoy a meal in peace in such a remote corner where no one comes. Don't worry. This restaurant may look ordinary, but the taste is absolutely top-notch." Lin Seven-Night took out his wallet. "How much money in total, boss?" "A total of 64 yuan. Lin Seven-Night's hand suddenly paused in midair. "Is it so expensive?" It turns out that Fatty ordered a bowl of braised beef noodle soup with extra vegetarian chicken, shredded pork, egg, dried bean curd, and noodles. Lin Seven-Night's face looked as if it could drip water due to the gloominess, while Fatty teased that there was no caviar and lobster. "Fatty, you pay for your own noodles." Fatty immediately shuddered as if struck by a tiger. "Seven-Night, didn't you say you would treat me?" "I changed my mind." 3 people were discussing the battle just now as they ate. They directly and accurately blasted the 90th floor to attack you guys. "Yes, didn't you see I'm still wearing a bath towel now?" Lin Seven-Night analyzed that it was correct for you guys to jump out of the building to escape. In battles on the flowing stage like this, once your figure is caught, you won't be able to escape at all, and will only be pulled in. Chow Abyss also interjected, saying, "You are living too ostentatiously. This kind of hotel requires identity registration. If someone with ill intentions investigates, they will easily find out your whereabouts." Fatty looked wronged and said, "I am just used to it. I stayed in even better accommodations when playing in Guangshen." In the conversation, Shen Azure Bamboo and the other 2 have already sat across from Brother Shen. "We've had noodles twice already. Are we having noodles again tonight?" "Do you understand? Noodles are a specialty of Songnan. It's rare for you to visit, so it's not enough to just have a few meals. Waiter, 3 bowls of clear noodle soup, please." The boss opened his mouth in surprise and said, "It's you guys again! Eating 2 meals of clear noodle soup in a row, are you still having this?" Fatty also noticed them. "Look, Swagger Dude is here to eat noodles too." The sound of someone swallowing saliva is particularly clear in this quiet alley, but I'm not sure who it is. Shen Azure Bamboo glanced back, and the 2 followers bowed their heads in unison. He appeared conflicted in his eyes, but he gritted his teeth and made a firm decision. "Please change the order. Give us 2 plates of shredded pork noodles and 1 bowl of clear soup noodles." "All right. Shredded pork noodles are 10 yuan per bowl, and clear soup noodles are 6 yuan. In total, it is 36 yuan. Lin Seven-Night only used mental power to scan and knew that his wallet was completely empty. He had calculated the price accurately. A follower asked Brother Shen why he decided to have shredded pork noodles again. After eating so many clear soup noodles, they must be tired of it too. He suggested changing the flavor. "Brother Shen, what about Shen Azure Bamboo?" Proudly lifting his head, Shen Azure Bamboo replied, "I simply love clear soup noodles. Simplicity and purity are the true essence of noodles." Shen Azure Bamboo felt the gaze of attention. He grunted and said, "What are you looking at?" Then he seemed to remember something and said to Lin Seven-Night, "By the way, are you okay from the injury you sustained in the car earlier?" Lin Seven-Night shook his head and said, "I'm fine." After hesitating for a moment, Swagger Dude slowly spoke up. "Thank you. If it weren't for you blocking those debris, we would all have been injured." Fatty asked suspiciously, "When did Swagger Dude become so polite?" Azure Bamboo stared resentfully at Fatty and said, "Damn it, I've always been clear about grievances. How come you're being polite now?" He immediately expressed that he also knew this holiday break was not simple. If there was anything that needed help, he would definitely offer assistance. Lin Seven-Night suddenly had an idea in his mind and said, "I do have a business deal that I would like to discuss with you." This? To be honest, the paragraph breaks are indeed a bit frequent. Merlin, the trusted friend of King Arthur in the Celtic legend of the once and future king. Just after Lin Seven-Night ascended upon stage, he also welcomed the patient in his second room. The god of magic. Lin Seven-Night pointed to Billy Fatty and said he would protect him during his vacation. Protect him? Swagger Dude's gaze fell on Fatty. As an exchange, he pays you 1,000 yuan per day as protection money. What do you think? Swagger Dude immediately shuddered, as if the 1,000 yuan was right in front of him. Okay. But this transaction only involves me, Li Jia, and Li Liang, which doesn't count as a successful deal. In the dimly lit street, Fatty asked quietly, "Seven-Night, why did you let Swagger Dude protect me? This time, both you and I are targets. I can't stay by your side for long. It's actually more dangerous this way." And Chow Abyss becomes insane without distinguishing between friend and foe, so you need to have a normal person by your side, and it must be a master. Fatty suddenly realized that you were smart. The Swagger Dude walked up with his hands in his pockets from behind and said, "Hey, Fatty." Fatty pouted and said, "Now I am your employer. Can you change the way you address me?" Swagger Dude took a deep breath and said, "Billy Daylight, let's discuss. Can you advance me 1 day's salary first?" Fatty raised an eyebrow and asked, "What are you up to?" The Swagger Dude felt a little awkward and said, "Never mind, just tell me if you can do it." Fatty scratched his head and said, "But I don't have any cash on me right now." Chow Abyss, who was next to him, suddenly spoke up, "I have $300 here. Is that enough?" Swagger Dude nodded eagerly and said, "That's enough. Give it to me first." Under the dim lighting, Swagger Dude returned to that small noodle shop. He first told the boss to add an extra large portion of pork chop and an egg for each of them. Then he handed over all the money he had just earned to the two of them, instructing them that it was 300 yuan. He said to them to use it to enjoy some good food while he was away for a few days. He affectionately poked Li Liang's head and said, "Wait for my return." "Let's go, Lin Seven-Night." The three of them exchanged a glance, tacitly choosing to stay silent. Fatty walked along, feeling depressed. "The hotel got bombed. Where are we staying tonight?" Chow Abyss held a knife and suggested, "How about finding a temple to spend the night?" Good suggestion, but where can you find a temple in a modern city? That's also true. After pondering for a moment, I know a place. Follow me. The pink and purple lights from the room leaked out of the window. 4 people stood at the door, looking up at the faded sign, "Dream Butterfly Inn," in pink. Fatty immediately clenched his buttocks. "Seven-Night, are you serious? There aren't many places where you can stay without an ID card in Songnan. This place is considered to have a relatively good environment. If you are unwilling, then you can only go sleep under a bridge." As Lin Seven-Night said, there is no need to register your identity. "Hello, we would like to book 3 rooms. Just then, Swagger Dude suddenly put his arm around Fatty's shoulder. "Shall we share a room?" He believes that since they agreed on close protection, it's too risky to live separately. Chow Abyss also timely expressed, "Well, in that case, I'll stay together too. 3 people make a perfect table for playing landlord, a card game." Fatty was petrified on the spot. "Wait, what about my opinion? Don't you consider whether I'm willing or not?" During such a critical moment, Lin Seven-Night naturally ran off. "I'm heading back first. I can't handle big matters, but I can deal with small issues on my own." Without waiting for Fatty to respond, Chow Abyss and Swagger Dude had already picked a room for him. Vaguely, there were indescribable sounds coming from a few surrounding rooms. Fatty looked at the two of them in surprise. You guys couldn't possibly all be... Aren't you? Joking, when I was 7 years old. Swagger dude, open the window to get rid of the musty smell in the room and also check if anyone is watching. Fatty has already sprawled on the bed. Just as he was thinking of finding Chow Abyss, huh? Where is he? At this moment, Chow Abyss mysteriously asked the boss. Do you have something very exciting and interesting that 3 people can play together? We do have it, but it depends on what exactly you are looking for. Chow Abyss whispered again. Playing cards? On the other side, Lin Seven-Night, who had just returned home, was blocked by Red Tassel at the door, cursing. If you don't come back soon, I'll come find you. When Inkwisher, who was lazily lying on the sofa, yawned and said, In just half an hour, Red Tassel called your name at least 200 times. Lin Seven-Night, feeling a bit embarrassed, scratched his head and went out to have a late-night snack. Sorry, Sister Red Tassel. Red Tassel sighed and said, Forget it. Just go to bed early. Inkwisher, you have to be careful at night to protect Seven-Night, understood? Inkwisher yawned again. With me in the living room, no one can sneak in. The lights in the villa went out, plunging into darkness. Lin Seven-Night, on the bed, suddenly remembered that he had not visited the psychiatric hospital for a long time after being promoted to pawn stage. The psychiatric hospital of the gods. He stood in front of the door of Ward 2. At this moment, Li Flying saw him. He asked, None of these doors can be opened. What are you doing here? That was before. Lin Seven-Night pondered for a moment. Now that I have broken through the mental stage, maybe I could open the next door. What do you think is behind this door? This is a hospital where the second patient, Li Flying, arrives. Nodding and bowing. Can having one more patient increase my salary, Chief? No. Behind the first door is the melancholy goddess of the night. What will be behind the second door? A clear sound of machinery running, the runes and seals all over the door dispersing at the same time. Lin Seven-Night guessed it right. These 6 doors correspond to the 6 stages: lantern, pond, flowing sea, infinite, and climb. He already has the qualification to release the second patient. Inside the dim room, a young man wearing a deep blue robe is sitting quietly. There is no turbidity in his eyes. It is a kind of indescribable wisdom and calmness. He speaks slowly. You have arrived. Who is this mysterious person? Merlin, also known as the god of magic and prophecy. He actually talked about the real world. He turned into a pink sea star. He also said, SpongeBob, let's go catch some jellyfish. Lin Seven-Night raised an eyebrow and asked, Do you know I was coming? The man nodded. I know. Then, Lin Seven-Night's gaze fell on the wall of the ward. In ward number 2, patient Merlin's task is to help Merlin treat his mental illness. When the treatment progress reaches the specified values of 1%, 50%, and 100%, some of Merlin's abilities can be randomly drawn. The current treatment progress is 0%. After Lin Seven-Night finished reading, his gaze suddenly became complex. Merlin, the legendary magician in British mythology who helped King Arthur ascend to the throne, is considered the founder of the wizarding world. It is said that he is not only proficient in all categories of magic, but can also foresee the future. According to Lin Seven-Night, the so-called Merlin is not just one person, but a fusion of many legendary mythical elements of the English people. Therefore, the person in front of them is not only the wise one who helped King Arthur, but also a manifestation of the English people's aspiration for the unknown, creating a deity of magic and wisdom. What a surprise! Turns out it's a man. Li Flying muttered quietly. Merlin glanced at him, and a faint light shimmered in his eyes. The starlight shone dazzlingly, causing the body hidden under the dark blue robe to contort violently. In the blink of an eye, a gentle female voice sounded. Gender is meaningless to me. Li Flying pointed at a dumbfounded Merlin, Lin Seven-Night, seemingly not surprised. He is the legendary Grand Wizard Merlin, known for his mastery of transfiguration in Merlin's legend. Your Excellency Merlin, please change back. Let's have a good talk. Merlin, who had turned back into an ordinary man, said, I predicted 10 years ago that you would open the door today. This seemingly mystical statement piqued Lin Seven-Night's interest, and he immediately inquired about his own future. Merlin shook his head and said, Prophecy is not all-powerful. When he first opened the door, he also tried to glimpse Lin Seven-Night's destiny, but all he saw was a blurry mix of the past and the future. Only the present can be glimpsed a little. This means that Lin Seven-Night is now in a dangerous vortex. One wrong step could lead to being crushed to pieces, and this might also involve the people around them. Lin Seven-Night's gaze gradually became more serious. Merlin expressed that he couldn't see clearly any more simply because he lost his crystal ball. Lin Seven-Night was stunned. Lost? Merlin seemed to remember something. A touch of bitterness appeared at the corner of his mouth. Just 10 years ago, a little girl came to this room to challenge me in prophecy or divination. She said that if she won, I had to let her leave. But if she lost, she would take the crystal ball from me. We started with a fallen leaf and extrapolated the changes in the entire forest in the past, present, and the next 50 years, with no winners or losers. Then we extrapolated stones, water droplets, and finally found that no matter how we compare external things, we cannot determine superiority or inferiority. It's better to take each other as targets and extrapolate everything about each other. However, her existence completely caught me off guard. Whether in the past, present, or future, she is untraceable. She is like a ghost not belonging to this world. No matter what method I use, I cannot glimpse a fragment of her destiny. So, I lost. Li Flying swallowed his saliva. So mysterious. Who is that girl? Lin Seven-Night said he didn't know either. At the same time, his brows furrowed. This girl should be the one who took away Nix's bracelet and left an envelope in the headmaster's office G-memory. But a 12 or 13-year-old girl won against the goddess of the night and creation, and also won against Merlin, the great prophet, in deducing fate. He may be aware of the origin of this girl, who calls herself G-memory, and can also reveal the history of the psychiatric hospital of the gods. But for Lin Seven-Night now, it may still be too early to delve into this. After hesitating for a moment, Lin Seven-Night turned to Merlin and asked seriously, What's wrong with you, Merlin? Merlin raised an eyebrow and replied, You're the one who's sick. If you're not sick, why are you here? Merlin looked out the window. I don't know. I'm just a scholar trying to uncover the true face of the world. Before Lin Seven-Night could speak, he continued on his own. For deep-sea fish, the sea and deep-sea creatures are their world. They would not know about the existence of land beyond the ocean, let alone the vastly different creatures on land. So how do we know that the world we are familiar with is the true world? Perhaps the world we live in is just a creation of a higher dimensional existence. Lin Seven-Night and Li Flying are both standing still. The world we are in is not real. Do you have evidence? We mythical beings suddenly appearing in your world, isn't that evidence? Li Flying couldn't help but speak, but if the world we are in is fictional, does that mean we ourselves are fictional? Yes, Merlin nodded. Li Flying paused. Since it's like this, how can you, a false existence, question the reality of the world? Merlin heard. He was petrified in place, as if struck by lightning. Lin Seven-Night said, You claim to be a scholar searching for the true world. Have you found it? Merlin's eyes showed a hint of peculiarity. Yes, I have found it. I have used magic to communicate with a mysterious plane. Although I do not know its exact location, I can vaguely foresee that it is the true world. Merlin's eyes widened more and more, as if he was underwater. Inside, there are all kinds of small houses, some in the shape of pineapples, some shops selling strange food, and it seems there is even a strange yellow cube. At this moment, Merlin excitedly danced around. The calm and wisdom in his eyes have long disappeared. The real world? I saw the real world. Then he burst out a pink smoke in place. After a moment, he turned into a pink sea star. He danced around, saying, "SpongeBob, let's go catch jellyfish." SpongeBob? The young man was once a talented student named Lin Seven-Night at the same school. After the Nanda Serpent Yogwai incident, he disappeared without a trace. Today, the youth unexpectedly appeared in the sewers of Songnan. What exactly is his purpose? The movement in the ward caught Nix's attention at this moment. The next second, she saw a pink starfish running towards her. Even though the starfish had short legs, it still made the two people behind it out of breath trying to catch up. Suddenly, the starfish saw Nix sitting on a rocking chair and Mr. Krabs. "You are here too," said the starfish. Nix then fell into contemplation. "Are you also my grandson?" Then she tremulously reached out her hand, embraced Patrick Starmerlin, and tearfully said, "Grandson, Grandma is here." Lin Seven-Night looked at the scene where one person was calling Mr. Krabs, while another person was calling a good grandson, expressing serious speechlessness. He softly said to Li Flying, "I think I probably know where he is sick." Li Flying responded, "This scene seems unexpectedly touching." Lin Seven-Night said in a doctor's tone, "The real world has become Merlin's inner demon. I don't know what kind of magic circle he used to transmit his consciousness over there. Whether that is the real world remains unknown, but without a doubt, it has had a strange effect on his mental consciousness, ultimately leading to mental instability. Li Flying feels a bit of a headache. What should we do?" Lin Seven-Night said that he was relatively normal before mentioning the real world. "Anyway, let's first give him a sedative injection to see if he can return to his original state. Who will go and administer the injection to Li Flying? What do you think?" The little caregiver, who was exploited by the unscrupulous boss, immediately pulled out a large syringe. After chasing for a long time, he finally pinned Patrick Starmerlin to the ground. Nix quickly followed, shouting, "Little Flying, that's your brother. You can't be so rough on him." In the end, Li Flying successfully completed this arduous task, and Nix suddenly quieted down. "This work is too damn exhausting," Nix muttered while looking around for my grandson. Lin Seven-Night stepped forward to check and found that Merlin's consciousness was somewhat cloudy, likely due to the aftermath of confusion. Meanwhile, Li Flying on the side was scolded by Nix. "Bad child." After a round of turmoil, Lin Seven-Night felt listless. Right now, what he cares about the most is Merlin. Although the illness is severe, as long as the real world is not mentioned, they can still communicate normally. Therefore, the most important thing is to find a way to treat it. I don't know when. Outside the window is already covered in silver. Lin Seven-Night pushed the door and went out. He found a girl who was as swift as a startled swan in the howling wind of the gun. She was dancing swiftly in the open courtyard. "Red Tassel, sister, do you practice spear early every day?" After listening, Red Tassel's figure lightly landed and nodded. The master said, "If you don't practice martial arts for one day, you will regress 100 days of training." I started learning the spear, and have been practicing it diligently every morning for 12 years. Lin Seven-Night raised his eyebrows and said, 12 years, so Red Tassel, how old are you?" Red Tassel responded indignantly, "Can you casually ask a girl about her age?" "Go, sister will make breakfast for you." What they didn't notice was a gray little mouse silently watching everything on the roof of the house. Songnan City. In the complex sewer system, dense rats surged like a tide, silently and swiftly moving through the passages to arrive at a vast and dark underground cavern. Black and white pieces were interspersed on a chessboard, next to which stood a young man in a black cloak. He reached out and grabbed a rat from the swarm, and instead of panicking, the surrounding rats crawled obediently on the ground. The rat in his hand squeaked. The next moment, a faint glow shot from his fingertips and into the head of the rat. The rat immediately shuddered and stood still in his hand. This ability comes from the serpent species of the Nanda serpent Yogwai. The serpent species of the Nanda serpent Yagwai use artificial serpent Yagwai neurons to link the consciousness of other beings, enabling manipulation and shared perspectives. The young man calmly said, "Let's temporarily name these fourth-generation artificial serpent Yagwai neurons as fish species. With these fish species, we can control any movement in Songnan. When there are mysterious appearances, I will definitely be able to find it before Night Watcher." The young man slowly took off his hat, revealing himself as in fishing, who had been unseen for a long time. The shared vision of the fish species told him that the current situation in Songnan is very delicate. Dozens of people fleeing from the flowing stage at Fasting Hall, the mad scorpion mercenary who disappeared without a trace 3 years ago, a woman suspected to be from the ancient gods cult, and even 2 C-stage experts who are deeply hidden. And all of these pieces are in positions unfavorable to Lin Seven-Night. Should I remind him? After a while, it seems he has made up his mind. After all, we went through hardships together. This time, let me help you out. Since I have read so much, I might as well pay attention to it. The youth simply made a light stroke. He shocked the entire mad scorpion mercenary. Just because of the effect in the abyssal deity ruins. All modern weapons have turned into a pile of scrap metal. Just a while ago, Captain Braised Pork Belly Southern Siong and Roasted Suckling Pig Red Tassel enthusiastically walked on the street carrying plates full of dishes and meat, shouting cheerfully. Little South timidly whispered, "Red Tassel, can you please not be so showy? People are giving us strange looks." Red Tassel, on the other hand, doesn't care about it. Why bother caring about other people's opinions? What's wrong with being happy during the new year? That's right, Seven-Night's younger brother. I'm quite speechless about this older sister, Lin Seven-Night. By the way, did anything mysterious happen during the days I was away? Red Tassel thought about it, and yes, there was a lizard from the pond stage. Dealing with it was actually quite simple. However, strangely, when the logistics personnel collected the body, they found only half of the body remaining. Lin Seven-Night furrowed his brow slightly. Are you suggesting that someone is secretly collecting mysterious bodies? At that moment, a dark figure shot straight toward Lin Seven-Night. Lin Seven-Night, who possesses the divine realm of the mortal world, was the first to react. Lin Seven-Night and Red Tassel immediately raised their heads to look. They saw a figure in a black cloak standing on top of the tall building. The shadow cast by the hood perfectly covered his face. Red Tassel snorted coldly. "Seeking death!" She threw the 2 large bags in her hands to Lin Seven-Night. She swayed and then chased after the person who was leaving. This kind of forceful arrow hit may not necessarily be fatal, and there was no explosion as imagined. What kind of sneak attack is this by Lin Seven-Night and see Little South? Lin Seven-Night observed the small arrow and unexpectedly found a rolled-up piece of paper at the arrow's tail. He opened it in his palm, and the next second, Lin Seven-Night's pupils suddenly contracted. He also threw all the bags to see Little South. "You take these back first. I still have things to do." Then he ran to the other side of the road. Just because there was a note written on the paper saying, "Old Town 3901, someone wants to harm your family." The characters on it are crooked, clearly written by someone using their left hand, with the intention of not revealing their identity. At this time, Maternal Aunt and a Jin are busy preparing for the Chinese New Year. Maternal Aunt went to the store to get a big Fu character and stuck it on your brother's door. Since the child is far away from home, a regular Fu wouldn't suffice. Yang Jin smiled lightly and said, "Mom, where is there a distinction between near and far in this Fu?" The maternal aunt glared at him and said, "What does a child like you know? This is called it is better to believe that it exists than to believe it does not. Your brother must be having a tough time living abroad. After using this talisman, I hope that some kind of god can bless him. Danger is approaching outside the low building. Reports targeting one by one, with the maternal aunt as the target. The information is being collected by the man. And they are the mad scorpion mercenary, who are targeting Lin Seven-Night's family. Scorpion number 1 said that according to the Snake Lady, if the target individual does not appear tonight, they will take this woman and child hostage and hand them over to her for disposal. Scorpion number 3 sneered, saying, when did Mad Scorpion become a woman's lackey again for the Snake Lady? This statement was immediately interrupted by Scorpion number 1, because they both were once in desperate straits and chose to believe in the ancient god's cult. If we go against the Snake Lady's intentions, it means we are violating the divine covenant. Not only will Scorpion number 3 harm themselves, they will also drag down the entire Mad Scorpion mercenary group. Scorpion number 7 also has doubts. If the target is the double god agent, and they truly appear, will we be able to deal with them? Scorpion number 3 continues, even if we can't handle it, isn't there the believer the 16th seat, a strong individual who is just half a step away from reaching the C stage? The believer? Suddenly, a voice came from outside the car. A touch of darkness swiftly enveloped the entire van with Lin Seven-Night at the center. Please tell me what that thing called the believer that you just discussed is. Scorpion number 3 is, after all, a seasoned warrior. He reaches out to grab the submachine gun beside him. But Lin Seven-Night has already anticipated his anticipation. He lightly traces his fingertip on the car door. The assault rifle suddenly exploded. Under the smoke and dust is Lin Seven-Night's expression of deserved punishment. Scorpion number 3 helplessly stepped out of the car. You, who play with chemistry, are bullying me, who plays with physics. He wants the person in front of him to know that the more pretentious he is, the more satisfying it is when he gets slapped in the face. I'm speechless. Please bear with me. I'll go look for resources again. They are clearly the mercenary group with the highest task completion rate. But they repeatedly suffered losses in front of the young boy. Only because the young boy is the greatest in the history of Great Xia. The one and only dual god agent. Just now, Scorpion number 3 was holding a short knife and stabbing towards Lin Seven-Night. Lin Seven-Night slightly stepped back half a step, and the tip of the short knife slid across his skin, leaving no trace of injury. Seven-Night quickly struck Scorpion number 3's wrist with his left hand, causing the short knife in his hand to slip away. Scorpion number 3 suddenly had a black short-barreled assault rifle in his left hand at some point. He aimed at Lin Seven-Night's head and started firing off a round. Under the pouring bullets, there was the flickering silhouette of Lin Seven-Night's figure. Next, Lin Seven-Night reached out and twisted in the void. The barrel of the assault rifle was twisted into a twist. The spraying bullets could not burst out. Suddenly, the Scorpion number 3 exploded in his hand, while Lin Seven-Night stepped on the hilt. The knife was caught firmly by him. Immediately, the knife hovered at Scorpion number 3's throat. I'll ask you again, what is the believer? A touch of darkness emanated from Lin Seven-Night's body. Although abyssal corruption cannot currently control the minds of humans, the pain it causes is definitely nightmare level. Scorpion number 3 quickly saw its psychological defenses collapse. According to his description, the believer is a subsidiary organization of the ancient gods cult. Official members of the ancient gods cult are all composed of agents of the divine. Although each individual is powerful, their numbers are scarce. Therefore, the church absorbs some non-agents of the divine, who are strong as peripheral members. Each believer must form a soul contract with one of the deities in the church and henceforth unconditionally obey the arrangements of that deity. The deity worshipped by the Mad Scorpion mercenaries is the ancient gods cult's agent Medusa, codenamed Snake Lady. Lin Seven-Night lightly waved his hand, and Scorpion number 3's blood splattered on the spot. The name Snake Lady made him frown, simply because it bombed the training camp. It is suspected that this Medusa agent's target this time is himself. Just as he was lost in thought, a barely perceptible soft sound came from the distant rooftop. If Lin Seven-Night had been half a beat slower in his reaction, he would have lost his life directly. He's a sniper. Given his mental power coverage range, typically, ordinary firearms pose little threat to him, but sniper rifles are a different story. because the bullet travels at a speed of about 1,000 meters per second, while Lin Seven-Night's mental perception is only 100 meters, and the opponents clearly have 2 snipers. Just as he was considering how to respond, the sound of gunfire rang out from a third direction. And the trajectory indicates that the third sniper is a friendly personnel. A call came from a distant rooftop, but Scorpion number 9 is unable to respond anymore. It was him who was shot just now. 100 meters away, a man in black is crawling in the snow. A wisp of smoke rises from the sniper rifle in his hand and dissipates gradually. It is Lung Xian. His scope is firmly locked onto the second sniper hiding behind the gauze curtain, Lung Xian, his eyes cold and sharp. Another bullet goes through the enemy's head. He moved his gaze away from the scope. It's up to you now. The second sniper's head was shot by Lung Xian, and Lin Seven-Night looked in a certain direction. His spiritual perception told him that 4 people were approaching. The 4 enemies charging straight at them had their gun barrels spewing tongues of fire wildly. The gun barrels had been soundproofed, and under the falling snowflakes, not a single sound could be heard. He took advantage of the moment when the enemy was reloading their magazines. Lin Seven-Night waved his hands, and 2 black boxes stood out in the air. Disperse. The enemies don't know what they are. The target also turned toward the 2 black boxes. At this moment, the abyssal deity ruins in the snowfield opened up like a dark stain. Lin Seven-Night reaches out to manipulate. 2 straight knives shoot out from the black box. Scorpion number 4 is shocked as the straight knives are close at hand. He decisively uses the gun in his hand to smash towards a handle. On the other side, he draws a short knife from behind. He barely manages to block the other handle. It's just that what he didn't expect is Lin Seven-Night moves like a ghost. He is controlling the straight knife. He has appeared above him. Okay. A small amount does not make one a gentleman. Without poison, one is not a true man. Who would have thought that the entire Mad Scorpion mercenary was just a sacrifice for Scorpion number 1? Just because he is one.